One thing that is not great about the virus times, aside from the virus, is even if it's not like directly like ruining your life too bad, like it just feels like eventually something will come for you. And man, oh man, that just happened to me. Like my grandfather got the Rona. He passed. It was pretty quick. And then at the same time, like the same day that happened, my mom got diagnosed with some good old cancer, which is now a huge problem because you can't do doctor visits. You just have a doctor who like looks at you on your iPad and is like, "Yeah, man, wow, oof, cancer's rough." But the one thing my grandfather did is he definitely enabled all my horrible gaming behaviors, which is something I should probably hate him for. He like was always like buying me like Super Nintendo games as a kid, and he never like played them. Like he just watched me. Like this is what streaming used to be. You just played a game for your grandfather while he like sits there and like looks at it. But though the one game he did play all the time. Do you ever play Kirby's Dream Course?
No, that's the golf one.
Yeah,
well, it's not really golf.
It's like
there's no clubs.
But like he is both the ball and the club. Like the clubs are like you throwing Kirby's body into holes and stuff. Anyway, I thought it was weird because that was like the only game he would play, which is just such a weird choice. Out of all the games you could play, it's like, well, here's a weird golf Kirby spinoff that has a convoluted story and is also very hard. Definitely the only instance of a game I would need to play.
I do think that a big part of every gamer's development is you do have to have someone who is in that enabler role. Someone who you can count on to like get you the game before you're able to like have money.
Yeah, gaming as a kid is the huge crime, right? Because you have all this time to do it, but you also only have $4.
So like having that gaming enabler is so valuable, and I'm glad that you had that.
Yeah, it was good. I'm gonna play Kirby's Dream Course and marvel at how Sakurai's character was used for a golf game, and now he lives in Cog Hell.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Anime Sickos, the podcast for geniuses, where we talk about the four pillars of modern misery, anime, gaming, posting, and jobs. Since the start of this podcast, there have been many new sources of misery. We thought that there were only four. That was wrong. Our bad. I am Tom, an Anime Sicko.
I am Joe, an Anime Sicko.
Joe, something I want to talk about today. You know how anime has titles? You heard about that? You heard about anime titles?
Definitely one of the worst parts about them. You have to tell like another person that they need to watch like quadruple S Grid Boy.
Yeah, SSSS dot Gridman.
Yeah,
which
a title could not have a dot. That's fucked up.
It's just like if there's a letter that's repeated a bunch of times, like, hey, why not do a draft where you take those letters out? And why not just call it Gridman?
I think the worst example is there was like a series of like PS2 games that were like fake MMOs called like Dot Hack, and starting your title with dot is no one in the English speaking world has the balls.
We are definitely way behind on the arms race. Although I will say, I made this joke about Speed Grapher, but for Gridman, it's, I think, even more relevant. It sounds like it's a guy who's really good at spreadsheets.
Yes. Yeah. Yep.
But, like, no, it's about a huge robot. Like, another one that we learned about this when Riley Hopkins went Guesto mode. But there is a Kingdom Hearts game called, and I'm not joking, Kingdom Hearts 358 over 2 days.
You don't need to do over 2. You can just cut numbers in half. Like, you don't, it's fine.
It's not even like 358 is an odd number. Like 358 over 2 is just 179. Just call it 179 days.
I'm incapable of learning about Kingdom Hearts. Like, people have explained stuff to me. Riley explained stuff to me. Chuck, our first guest, explained it to me, and it just doesn't stick. I am told about Goofy going on a quest, and I nod, and I think very hard, and then I wake up the next day, and it never happened. There's just a scene missing.
Yeah, I know intellectually, on paper, I can write this down and look at it and know that I wrote it. I know that Kingdom Hearts has Final Fantasy characters in it too. But, as soon as that paper leaves my field of view, that information's gone.
Yeah.
I just want to say, I'm looking at the Wikipedia for SSSS.Gridman, and I just want to say that there was an original short animation by the same production studios before the series was released called Denko Chojin Gridman, Boys Invent Great Hero.
Oh, man. The second half of titles, that's just the good shit. When you see a colon in the title, you know some good shit's coming up.
America needs to get their game up when it comes to second halves of titles. If the second half of your title makes sense, what are you, She-Ra : Princesses of Power? It's no, the Princesses of Power makes sense because that's what's in the show. No, you gotta say something stupid.
Yeah, Princess on Planet Good Time.
Yes, exactly. And the Planet Good Time is where the show is set. Oh no, it's set in Eternia. It's what?
Yeah, and the other thing that sucks is the colon as a long, cumbersome title in English titles is used exclusively for boring academic papers.
Mm-hmm.
It's never about a robot.
Joe, we make fun of these titles, and rightly so, because they are bad. But I gotta do a mea culpa right here. I recently got into a franchise that I think might be the worst offender of these terrible titles, namely the Fate series. There are a truly disgusting amount of Fate-related properties. The concept of Fate is really not important to the plot, at all. No one talks about having a Fate in Fate. But yeah, I got into this, and I told you, and to my surprise, you're also a Fate head.
Yeah, I liked Fate Zero, which I think is the best one. I watched the original Fate Stay Night, the anime. That's not as good as Fate Zero because all of the fucking characters are annoying kids, whereas Fate Zero is what if adults handled this?
Yes. The short version, and man oh man, is the long version of Fate, is that the Holy Grail is around, and every once in a while, it just decides to have 7 wizards get granted basically stands. They're called heroic spirits, and they're ghosts that are people from the past, great heroes from the past that about from history. And they're just your homie, and you have to fight and kill all the other ones. There's 7 of them. You got to kill them all. If you're the last one there, you get the Holy Grail, and you get to make a wish.
Yeah, the Grail is just a big fancy cup that has the Dragon Balls in it.
Pretty much. And man, oh man, the titles for this fucking series are absolutely terrible.
Just say them. I got to know, because I only know about Fate Zero, which is the prequel. Fate Stay Night, which is the original.
Joe, that is the thing that fucking blows my fucking mind. Because when I watched Fate Zero, I knew it was a prequel. It's written by Gen Urobuchi, who wrote Madoka Magica and Psycho-Pass and a bunch of other good. He's a really good anime writer, and it owns. And I knew that was the prequel, and I'm I can't wait to watch Fate, the original, which I'm sure is just called Fate. No,
oh, you're fucking wrong, dude.
And all of them are Fate / subtitle. It's not even a colon, it's a slash. So here they go. We got Fate Stay Night, the original visual novel. Then there was a sequel to the visual novel called Fate Hollow Ataraxia. Then there was a manga called Fate School Life. Then there was another manga called Fate Collide Liner Prisma Star Ilia. Then there was a video game called Fate Unlimited Codes. Then Fate Tiger Coliseum. And then there was a sequel to Fate Collide Liner Prisma Star Ilia, Fate Collide Liner Prisma Star Ilia two-way. Then there was the the series Fate Stay Night, Unlimited Blade Works. And then there was the video game Fate Extra. Then there was Fate Collide Liner Prisma Star Ilia 3-Ray. Then there was Fate Apocrypha. Then there was Fate Extra CCC. Then there was Fate Extra CCC Foxtail. Then there was the Lord El Malloy 2 Case Files. Then there was Fate Labyrinth.
Say the case file one again.
Lord El Malloy the Second Case Files.
Is it Fate Lord Elmer whatever, or is it just...
No, it's just Lord El Malloy the Second's Case Files.
Huh.
You know, the case files he's got for his cases?
Why would you establish such an awful, cumbersome naming convention and then just drop it?
I don't know, man. Don't know. This is not a question we are meant to know. Especially because there's an anime called Fate Collide Liner Prisma Star Ilia 2-Way Hers. Then there's the mobile game Fate Grand Order, which is apparently like an absolute hell pit that kills you and takes all of your money. Then there's the video game Fate Extella. Then there was the anime Fate Apocrypha. And then, of course, there is the... trilogy of movies, Fate Stay Night, Heaven's Field 1, Presage Flower, and then, of course, there's the sequel, Fate Stay Night, Heaven's Field 2, Lost Butterfly. Of course, the third movie, Fate Stay Night, Heaven's Field 3, Spring Song, has not been released yet. There is, of course, also Fate Requiem, and Fate Extra Last Encore, and Fate Extella Link, and then there are a bunch of Fate Grand Order movies, Fate Grand Order, The Absolute Demon Battlefront Babylonia.
So that one... I started watching on a whim because you mentioned that you started watching Fate Zero, and I had already seen it, and I've seen Fate Stay Night, and I was like, well, this is on Crunchyroll, I'll watch it. I did not realize that Absolute Demon Front Assyria, or whatever it is like, is a spin-off series that's based on the mobile game. So, like, This is a anime that is, I believe... just one of the events in this gacha game bullshit.
Yeah.
Like, I was under the impression it was part of the Fate canon, the way like Fate Zero was in Fate Stay Night. No, it's just a phone game that got a bunch of cutscenes.
It's a movie that, in order to understand or enjoy it, you have to have played 300 hours of microtransactions, the game, on your phone.
Yes, and it doesn't have much of the same flavor. Like, there's not really a Grail War. Like, it takes place in the future, and they go back in time to do previous Grail Wars they're like time cops that have to, like, restore, the fabric or whatever. And I'm probably getting a lot of this shit wrong because I only watched 2 episodes, and then I was like, I'm good.
Joe, I'm actually looking here. Did you know that there was an anime special, and this is based on your favorite of the Fate properties, Lord El Malloy II Case Files, that was entitled Lord El Malloy II's Case Files, Rail Zeppelin Grace Note, A Gravekeeper, a Cat, and a Mage.
Is there 2 colons in that?
Actually, there are no colons because Rail Zeppelin Grace Note has a hyphen on either side.
They like the word line and... collide. Those are 2, and rail. Those are like the big 3. They love to use those words.
They also like to have the letter X in titles, but pronounce it like the word cross.
I hate that shit. That shit drives. That's a trap. That's a trap because it's they do that to make me feel dumb.
Joe.
I still don't know if Hunter Cross Hunter is wrong.
That's the dumbest shit because it's a fucking silent X. No, but Joe, I gotta tell you about this. The fucking X shit brought it to mind. In One Piece, there's a character who is another pirate who's in like the same sort of generation as Luffy, and he's also like really strong. This motherfucker's name, his given name, his first name is Drake, after Francis Drake, and his family name is the letter X. And One Piece surnames go first, so is the letter X and then Drake. And even in Japanese, his family name is just the English letter X. Now, Joe, I want you to take a wild guess. How do you fucking think this guy's name is pronounced?
Is it silent, so it's just Drake?
No. It's quite dumber than that.
Well, give it to me so I can be upset.
So the X, turns out, is a Roman numeral and also Spanish. His name is Diaz Drake.
No, come on. That's too much like hidden modifiers in a single letter. That's fucked up. My favorite game is Mega Man Diaz.
I think, Joe, here's the crazy thing. Well, like there's one crazy thing. I did some snooping in the sort of Fate community to try to figure out like what of these is worth watching and like what order you should do them in. Now I knew that Fate Zero was written by Gen Urobuchi, like I said, so like I was pretty sure it was going to be well written, and also it is produced by the studio Ufotable, who did Demon Slayer, so I knew it was going to look good. So I'm like, that's definitely a good place to start, and I know it was a prequel, so I probably wouldn't have to know anything in advance. And I watched it, and it explained everything I needed to know. It was a big tournament with a bunch of wizards who had spirits of history guys fighting, and it kicked ass, and I really liked it. And then I looked at like the recommended viewing order, and apparently I'm like the dumbest cuck bitch, and I should never have done that. No one should ever watch Fate Zero first, you fucking moron. You should watch Fate Stay Night first, even though the anime is poorly produced, but do not watch Fate Stay Night Unlimited Blade Works first. That is the second route of the visual novel, but you're supposed to see second. You should not see it first. And if you watch them out of order, they spoil each other. And if you get spoiled, you'll be so mad. Joe, has a spoiler ever made you suffer at all?
Not really. I can't imagine like learning information about a twist or something. Like maybe I don't love that it was spoiled, but I've never like done the thing where people are like, oh, I can't believe this is spoiled for me. Now I can't watch it or something. Like it's like whatever. Like it's fucking fine. Like when you read books, sometimes you know what kind of happens because people talk about it. That doesn't mean you shouldn't read them.
Yeah. Like one of the only good college classes I had was good because they told us to read all the assigned books twice. Like once just to figure out what happens, and then like another time to like do scholarship with. And like it didn't make me not like the book to know what was happening.
Yeah, it frees up your brain to like actually experience it because you're not worried about like, what does that guy want? What's his deal?
Who's gonna win the fight?
Yeah.
And like also having watched Fate Zero first, the thing that is awful. Like I specifically saw a post where someone was trying to justify the fact that they had watched Fate Zero first, and they were like, it's not impossible to think that someone wouldn't regret watching Fate Zero first. And someone replied and was like, yeah, it is. I'm just like, what? Huh? So Joe, you haven't seen Fate Zero in a while. Like, give me the gist. What do you remember? Other than that, it's a big fight for the Grail with wizards.
Okay, so this is off my dome. I think I watched it in like 2015 or whatever. So the gist of the world is that there are like powerful magic families. It's kind of like Vampire the Masquerades, where there's like different clans, and basically every clan produces wizards in the hope of like having a powerful magical bloodline that fights in this tournament, and then you get a wish. And I assume every house has like their wish they want from the Grail. I don't remember the specifics. There are different families. The one that I remember most is that there's a family of wizards who simply love bugs, Tom. Like, I don't remember the details why, but like all of their magic is bug-based. One of the things they do to power up is that they like will take a magical child, like a kid wizard who is magically attuned, and then they put them in a big basement that's covered in huge bugs, and the bugs just crawl over them. And I guess that activates magical powers or some shit. I don't remember.
No, dude, they get full of bugs. They, like, the bugs go in. So, like, every family has their own sort of, like, specialty. And the families, like, you need to be a part of a mage family to be a good mage. Because, like, if you start at, like, age 0 and study magic till you're 100, you like, won't get good enough. Because that's not enough time to get magic. So you need to, like, study and then, like, shoot all your magic knowledge into your cum and have a magic baby who's, like, starting where you ended.
Yeah.
And so, like, if you're, like, 10th generation mage, you're just starting to get strong. So all the families have their different specialties, and this family is just that, like, instead of going to the library and learning about magic by studying. I'm just gonna swallow a yucky bug and let it sort of wriggle around inside of me and give me magic as a gift.
If only it were one. There are so many. And also the bug magic sucks. There's a fight where the participant from that family like shoots a swarm of bugs at another wizard, and the other wizard just fucking burns them all with fire and then lights the bug guy on fire. He gets his ass kicked.
Well, so that guy is like the presumptive heir of the bug family, but he like hates that in order for him to like be part of the family, he has to let 100 bugs burrow into his flesh.
That's like a really reasonable problem to have.
Yeah.
I see where he's coming from.
Yeah, he's like, I revoke my membership of this awful clan and will never learn magic. Because like another thing, like mages are all like really cold and calculating people because they have to like see 100 years into the future to like make their plans, and they like can't have like connections to what's happening now because what's important is the grail later. So he's like, that fucking blows. And then like his awful grandpa is like, okay, I'm gonna adopt your friend's daughter and throw her in the bug basement. And he's like, fuck, okay, I will take her place in the Grail War. Put the bugs in me instead. And the grandpa's like, well, you have never trained in magic, so you're definitely going to die like right away. And if you do die without getting the Grail, I'm going to kidnap your friend's daughter anyway and put her into Bug Pit. And I'm pretty much only letting you do this so that I can enjoy watching you fail. And he's like, I won't fail. He does. The old guy was right.
Yeah, the old guy was right. The bugs are bad. The old guy is also full of bugs as well.
Yes, it rules. And like part of the reason why this bug kid fails so bad is that he has the sort of spirit he summons is the one that takes the most like magical energy to make manifest because it's the strongest one. So like anytime it's on screen, it's absolutely wrecking shop and kicking ass and is the strongest of all of the spirits.
And you can tell he's like having a heart attack.
Yeah, dude is coughing up like sheets of blood and is like getting pale and gaunt and like can't stand. It rules. And I think this is where we got to get into, Joe, like, what are these spirits? What are they?
Yeah, so basically, if you are selected by the Grail to participate in the big Grail tournament, this series kicks ass because it's a tournament. It's a tournament that takes place in, like, just, like, a city in the open world. So there's a lot of people who don't know they're participating in a tournament. They think they're going to work, but actually some shit's going to get fucked up because these wizards have to kill each other. But you summon like a heroic spirit from the past, and then classes, like it's like an MMO where it's like there's different types of classes that your heroic spirit can be. Like you said, the bug guy couldn't control him. He summoned a heroic spirit who is a berserker, and the berserker class is always, as it implies, like very strong, but they're also like nonverbal and insane.
Yes. The best shit is that like the classes sort of like determine like what the spirit is good at, but like a person from the past could apply, like they could be a hero that was good enough at like a number of things. But, like, the one that they get summoned as is the one that, like, they're going to show up being good at. So, like, the Berserker is just, like, has someone ever sort of gone into a Berserker rage in their life? Then they're able to be a Berserker. But when they show up, they can't fucking talk, even if they could talk in real life.
Yeah, and a huge part of, like, the tension and, like, the cool strategy is that, unlike stands, you don't have to hang out with your heroic spirit all the time. Like, they are independent of you, and you can send them on little missions and stuff. So part of it is, like, intelligently using your heroic spirit to take out enemies and gather information. So if you have a berserker who can only, like, scream and run through walls, like, you don't have access to that subtlety that goes on with the mage tournament.
The classes are also pretty dope because, like, other mages can sort of, like, tell at a glance what class your spirit is, but they don't know who from history it is, which is important because every spirit has a noble phantasm, which is like a fucking game-breaking, awesome ultimate ability that like represents the thing they're known for in life. So, like, you have to keep their identity secret, because if they know who your spirit is, they know what your abilities are. But when you do use that ability, you have to reveal to everyone, like, what your spirit is. And, like, the big main character spirit is Saber, who is... Joe, how did you describe Saber?
Saber is probably the single most expensive waifu in terms of like GDP. I feel like Saber's like entity as a character has allowed Fate Go, or whatever the mobile game is, to make the GDP of Luxembourg every day. So it's she's King Arthur. She's
King Arthur was always a girl, and she just pretended to be a boy for appearances.
Yes, and now that is in the past, she is just proudly saying she's a woman, and she's who she is. And she is the Saber class, which, as it implies, is just like a good sword fighter. Saber is probably like one of the strongest types. It's just like a well-rounded offensive one.
I mean, they say that, but she gets fucking owned constantly. I mean, the reason that is because she's always the main character's spirit. So, like, the main character has to, like, encounter a lot of hardships before they succeed. And what that means is, like, the spirit we see most by far is Saber. And Saber also has the most on-screen defeats of anybody. So it's like, ah!
Yeah. I'm trying to think who else gets summoned in that one. There's Alexander the Great, who is he's the rider class. He's like just like a guy in a chariot.
He was summoned by a little dumb kid who he was at magic high school, and his teacher was like, if you're not from a magic family that's really good, you're basically stupid. And he's like, I hate that. I'll prove him wrong. And he summons Alexander the Great. And here's the thing about Alexander the Great. In the show, he's like this big, buff, barrel-chested guy who's like gregarious and yells a lot. And
very like lumberjacky.
Yes, a lumberjack. And every other character is like an ephemeral twink. And like Alexander the Great is like the only character who in actual history was an ephemeral twink.
Yes, yeah. They beefed it. Like, there's like a weird fate formula where it's like, is the character a male? Well, we're going to like do the gender swap. Is the character a twink? Well, we're making them buff. Were they buff? Well, now they're going to be like a pretty boy who has zero muscle. They're always multiplying by a negative to like sort of produce these characters.
It whips. And the thing about Alexander the Great is that like his master is like a dumb shitty kid, and like his teacher was right to say that he will never be a good mage because he doesn't have any fucking ability.
I will say about this show, it's like whenever there's like in an anime and there's like an established society that's like, oh, this is the class system, like in fucking Black Clover, they're always talking about how like lowborn non-nobility are just less suited to being powerful mages and magic knights. In this show, they're right.
Yeah, it's true.
It's just like, it's right. Like, there's not a lot of like people overcoming their poor status to be incredible. No, if you're not from a noble family with resources, that sucks for you.
Yeah, like this kid sucks as a wizard, and was never a chance that he was gonna win. But we spent like a lot of time with him, specifically because Alexander the Great is like the best character in the show. He's so fucking cool. Like here's the thing. His special ability, when he finally like reveals it, like he has his chariot all the time, and the chariot can fly, and like it's super fast, and it leaves lightning in its wake, so you can get shocked by lightning if he drives past you. But like his actual like special move, his ultimate, is that he has homies.
Yeah, it's basically the Yoshi Final Smash, right? Like,
yes. He transports you to like the fields of Macedonia, and everyone who he inspired in his life is there in a huge army, and they own you.
Yeah, and they all line up and take turns just kicking you in the nuts.
Fucking whips it. And like the thing is, like, the kid's like sort of an annoying asshole, and he's like very whiny and like headstrong. He's like, I need to prove that I'm strong. And like hanging out with Alexander the Great, and like half of the shit that Alexander the Great does like isn't fight. It's like sit down with the other spirits who are kings and like discuss the philosophy of like what kingship means.
Yeah.
And he's just like, I believe that a king should be like an icon, not a human, an icon that inspires people. You cannot think that you are equal to your subjects, and you cannot think that your purpose is to serve them. Your purpose must be to be above humanity, to inspire them. And King Arthur is like, I think that's fucking stupid as shit. But like, hey, he's kind of right, because he has a ton of homies, and by the end of it, like, the kid who is supposedly like his master is like kneeling to him and says like, I will serve you forever, my lord.
Yeah, and it's the other way around, or at least it's supposed to be. So you mentioned that like every spirit has the noble phantasm, which is like their true weapon or true skill. I fucking love the berserkers because normally it's like their famous weapon that like they had in history. The berserker's noble phantasm just is whatever he's holding.
Yes.
So like there's parts where he like picks up like a girder and it becomes like
a divine girder.
Yeah, it's like if Excalibur was a piece of rebar. There's one point where he like jumps on an F-15 and he grabs it, and the act of him touching the plane turns it into like the plane sword from God.
Yes. So like the way that Berserker is shown is like, this studio does a lot of melding CGI and traditional animation in a way that actually like really, really works. So like everyone is done in traditional animation except for Berserker, who is like a 3D model of like this badass like black knight with like red mist coming off of him, and anything he touches is sort of like infected by that red mist and gets turned CG also. So like you really feel that it's getting different.
Yeah, and Berserker in this case is like Lancelot, specifically the part in like the Arthurian legends where he becomes crazy and has a downfall and all this other shit.
Mm-hmm. And he hates sabers particularly because like he got betrayed, or maybe he did the betraying. I don't really know the fucking.
It doesn't also matter because he can't talk.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
He can only yell. Berserkers born before 1000 only know how to grab plane, throw girder, and get killed by saber.
Yeah. Another fucking incredible spirit that I love is Gilgamesh, the first king, who is in real life from the Middle East and has a huge bushy beard. And they have decided to make a Nordic twink.
Yeah, he looks like he's 16.
Yeah.
Like, he's just like a pretty boy who has glorious armor. He is the archer class. And the archer class, as the name implies, means you have a hero who's good at shooting shit, either with like a bow or a gun. And fucking Gilgamesh rules because he doesn't have either of those. His power is that because he's like, if I'm remembering this correctly, he is the most kingliest king of all kings. So his treasures were numerous and basically unlimited. So his special move,
it is that to him, because he is king of kings, he believes that every treasure in the world is his.
Okay, yeah, right.
Like rightfully, it belongs to him.
So the way he fights is like just a huge weird portal opens beneath him, and then famous swords and sharp things from history just like come pouring out and kill everyone.
He does a thing which I fucking love in media, and like I just cannot get enough of this. This is a trope that makes me hoot, where a character is always right. Like they never say anything that does not turn out to be true. Like he shows up and he's like, it is I, Gilgamesh, King of Kings. All are mongrels before me, and I will definitely win the Grail War effortlessly. And yeah, like, yep.
That wasn't conceit. Like, he was right.
Joe, we need to talk about the Black Ops guy, the main character.
Okay,
you mentioned him.
Okay, so I mentioned Saber as a character, as a servant, is like fine. She's very powerful. She's like noble. She has a code, whatever.
She's like big time chivalry. That's her thing.
Yeah, and she's certainly cool, and she's cool enough to be a main character or the main servant. What's interesting is the guy she is summoned by is just like a Black Ops guy. So he's the biggest brain in the whole show because his name is Emiya, I think, right?
It's Emiya is his last name. His first name is Kuritsugu. Just call him Emiya.
Okay.
Call him Black Ops Guy, to be honest.
Okay, so
that's what I call him.
So Black Ops Guy understands that he is in a world where wizards are everywhere, and wizards can kill you because they're very powerful. So rather than learn wizard magic, he focuses on things that kill wizards.
Yeah, it's like he is introduced as like this is a mage killer who has no honor. Instead of like challenging them to magic duels, he kills mages with gun and bomb.
Yeah, it's fucking awesome. It rules.
Like he knows a little bit of magic, like he's technically a mage, but like he's nowhere near anyone else's level. But he fucking owns them anyway.
Yeah, because all the magic he does know is basically like anti-magic. Like the one spell I think he actually uses is like a thing to speed up his heart, so he can like gives himself steroids briefly by like increasing his heart rate. I think he does like the fucking Kengan Ashura thing basically.
Yeah. And I think he does something that's like time magic where he can like slow down time around him for a little bit. So basically like he can get really fast. And it's not useful other than like if the wizard avoided my gunshot and is like shooting at me, I just run away real fast.
Yes, and he's smart. My favorite little like detail about him is, so I guess mages have their power circling through their body in what the show calls magical circuits.
Hell yeah.
And how magical circuits work is like you have a magical circuit that allows you to cast spells. And if those circuits get disrupted, you get the silence debuff, right? Like you can't cast spells. So Black Ops Guy realizes that one of the things that fucks up magical circuits is when someone else's magical circuit gets jammed into someone's body. So he has the brilliant idea of having a doctor remove his ribs so he can turn them into bullets, because the act of shooting someone with a bullet powdered from your ribs like fucks up their magical circuit. I think he also did it because he can suck his own dick now. But as a side effect, he now has like a Glock that has special rib bullets that just fuck everyone up.
And the best thing is that like the stronger a wizard you are, the more it fucks you up. Because like if you have way more magic circuits, getting fucked up is gonna like nearly kill you and leave you like unable to move.
Yeah, it's like a nuclear reactor becoming unstable.
Yeah. And like, Joe, I'm gonna just spoil this part because like the way that he takes out one of the other wizards is like the most fucking complete domination shit that I have ever seen in any anime. Just the way he takes him from like 100 to 0 without suffering at all. Like this guy who he takes out is like one of the most like strong pure mages. Like in terms of magical ability, like he's the top of the heap. And the first thing he does is, as we say, like attacks him with guns. And this guy like has a familiar, which is like a big glob of mercury.
Yeah, he has like his familiar is either Alex Mack or the Capri Sun thing.
And it like automatically like forms different shapes and protects him, and he like can't be hit. And Black Ops Guy has like a machine gun, and he's like doing Black Ops SWAT tactics and trying to shoot him with a burst of bullets, and every time the Alex Mack thing protects him, and he's like, "You'll never beat me. My defense is impenetrable." And then when he gets really cocky, he shoots him with a fucking rib bullet, and the guy sort of explodes with blood and almost dies. His spirit like finds him and like takes him away before he's killed, but he's fucked. And so the guy somehow doesn't die. His magic is fucked, but like he still has a pretty strong servant, and he's like, I can still win this. Like I'm gonna get revenge on Black Ops Guy. And then like his wife gets kidnapped, and he's like, well, that sucks, but I hate that. But I'll definitely get her back if I kill the Black Ops Guy. So he goes to confront him, and his servant and Saber are fighting, and they're both like knights who are very chivalrous, and they like love fighting and respect each other a lot. So they're like talking about like, I think you're great, I think you're great, as they're fighting. And then fucking the Black Ops Guy walks up to the wizard who he has like made unable to do magic, and he's holding the guy's wife at gunpoint, and he's like, hey, I'm gonna fucking kill you. Look at this contract I'm gonna send over your way. Joe, what does the contract say?
The contract is like, magic has rules, so like a contract between two wizards and shit is like actually meaningful.
Yeah, like if you put magic into the paper, like you really can't go back on it ever.
Yeah, and the contract is basically like, I, Black Ops guy, promise that I won't kill you if you dismiss your servant and everything will be cool. And the powerful wizard's like, well, I don't want you to kill my wife, and I don't want to be killed. And
it's like an ironclad contract. It's like you have to. I think it's you have to order your servant to kill himself, and then I will be unable to harm you, or even think about harming you, or even like do anything that could ever lead to me harming you.
Yeah. So he does. He makes his servant like kill himself, which obviously pisses off Saber because it was not honorable, and also Saber was enjoying fighting. But anyway, the servant's killed. This guy's basically incapacitated. He has no magic. And he was like, well, now you can leave me alone. You don't need to kill me. And also, you can't kill me. And Black Ops guy is like, correct. And then a sniper on another building just shoots the magic guy. And he's like, the contract said I would not kill you. Goodbye.
Absolute fuck. Folks, we spoiled that, but like, it's so good. And you can watch it knowing it's coming, and it'll be just as good.
Yeah. The reason Black Ops guy is so funny, because instead of learning just magic, he learned guns and law school.
It's the best. It's so good.
Yeah.
We haven't even mentioned how like a third of the series is Castor, who is the servant that knows magic, is fucking Gilles de Rais, the French serial killer, who gets summoned by by a serial killer who doesn't know about the Grail War. He just like drew a pentagram for fun, and it summoned Castor. And Castor's like, "Hey, buddy, you're my master. Are you looking for the Grail?" He's like, "No, I want to do serial killing." And Castor's like, "I want to do that too. Let's ignore the Grail and do that."
Yeah. The Grail picks people, and like, it's not uncommon for the Grail to pick like randos that aren't necessarily magically inclined for fun plot reasons. And in this instance, in Fate Zero, it's the serial killer guy. So him and Charles de Gaulle, who like basically...
it's fucking not Charles de Gaulle, dude.
Who is it?
It's Gilles de Rais.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Sorry, yeah. Whatever. It was a French guy. So Gilles de Rais also has like Lovecraft powers.
Yeah, he can make tentacle guys show up by reading a spell in a book.
Yeah, his Noble Phantasm is the book he did occult murders to do research for. So naturally, when he reads it, crazy shit happens. So he's interesting. He has the right approach to having a servant, which is like you get a servant, and then you just find a common interest, and then you don't do the Grail shit. Like, if you have a servant, and you're like, hey, do you want to play Mario Golf? And you're like, oh, that sounds amazing. That's what I would want to do.
Yeah, like, they never, I don't think, ever, like, learn who the other servants are. I think, like, Gilles de Rais, because he, like, in real history, was, like, he knew Joan of Arc. I think he did the serial killing later after she was dead. But, like, he mistakes Saber for Joan of Arc, so he's sort of, like, obsessed with her. But, like, he didn't really give a shit about anything else. And, like, their big thing is that Gilles de Rais is, like, one thing that I hated in life was that I proved that there was no God because I was never punished for what I did. And the serial killer friend is like, oh, no, there is a God. We just haven't done a bad enough thing to earn his righteous wrath. And Castor's like, oh my God, that makes me feel so good. Let's do something really bad. And then
like, let's get Senpai to notice me. And by Senpai, I mean, I want God to send me to hell.
Pretty much. And like one of the rules for the Mage War is that like you're technically not supposed to let civilians know that there's a Mage War going on. Like if they see you, you're supposed to kill them. But like mostly you're just supposed to not let them see you.
Yeah.
And so fucking Castor makes like a kaiju that's like 200 feet tall.
Yeah. It's like a tentacle kaiju, right?
Yes. And it's like, huh. So like basically the entire Grail War stops and everyone has to fight the kaiju.
Yeah, because he's ruining the vibe. And this is also when Berserker like jumps on an F-15. So like the idea that like civilians aren't supposed to see it is funny because they saw like a dude wearing medieval armor jump on a plane. And then they're just supposed to like go back home now with that information.
I think the explanation is literally like it was foggy. Yeah. People were like like the monster was in the river, and they're like, something's in the river, but it's too foggy to tell. And they're like, the clock was ticking, and that like if it gets to the edge of the river, the fog's gonna run out, and then people will see.
I love the idea that there's a civilian that knows there's a 200-foot tall something in the river, but because they can't like get the shape, they're like, well, you know, I don't want to overreact about the 200-foot tall monster. I don't know what its mouth looks like.
Yeah, it might just be a very tall weather balloon.
Yeah. The gist of that is that's the show. You have all these cool fights between these wizards and their cool companions. And then you took the plunge and watched the original series, Fate Stay Night, or in this case, like the Unlimited Blade Works one.
Yeah, so that is what that is. It's like the original Fate Stay Night is a visual novel for like the PSP, where you're just reading stuff and there's like pictures of anime girls in the background, and it's like, oh, that's a picture of Saber, and the text is talking about Saber right now. Got it. And it's also sort of like a choose your own adventure, so like you can make a decision pretty early on, I think, where you split into 3 main routes, and you're supposed to play them in a specific order. And Unlimited Blade Works is the second one, and that's the series that I'm watching now. And all of the masters are little kids. They're kiddos. They're little babies. They are the teen descendants of the adults from Fate Zero. So like they're all way less good at magic, and also they need everything explained to them, which I already know. I don't need that exposition because I saw Fate Zero already.
Fate Zero is like a more complete narrative that also establishes like the whole deal of the world way better.
Yeah, and like there are bits of Unlimited Blade Works that are different from Fate Zero that in like an interesting way. Like Fate Zero in a lot of ways is like a very normal Grail war. Like everyone basically does what they're expected to do, have big fights. And like the ending is weird. Like I won't spoil it, but basically like what they expect to happen, which is a big triumphant victory, and I say a wish and I get it. Like that doesn't happen. Something else happens, obviously. That's pretty. I don't think anyone ever gets a straight up wish. But in Unlimited Blade Works, like everyone's breaking the rules. Like things happen that aren't supposed to happen. Like one of the servants' caster is like a strong enough magician that she can take control of other servants. So she's a servant, and like her strategy is like, now I have a servant. Now I have 2 servants. Now I have 3 servants.
Yeah, now I'm competing basically.
And she like has a master technically, but she's definitely in control. And because there aren't as many like just straight ahead fights that are like guy A versus guy B fight, it sort of subverts a lot of those expectations. What it really focuses on a lot more is like these sort of weird character developments between these strange teens.
Yeah. And the other thing that's happening that's weird is like you say this particular Grail War is like weird in general, and like I even think, doesn't it show up too early? Like it's supposed to show up at specific times, and then like in this case it shows up at like a really early weird year, which is another reason why it's funny that no one is ready for it, and they're like send in the JV squad.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I think it's something to do with how the last war ended, and like the Grail was like, I wasn't satisfied, I'm coming back early. And as much as I do miss the adults, like there are parts of this that are interesting that other show didn't do. In both Zero and Unlimited Blade Works, we get a lot of people standing in a field at night discussing their ideals and philosophies of life. Mm-hmm. Unlimited Blade Works is just a lot more of that. And like that sounds bad, but like it's actually like pretty good.
Yeah.
That said, like it is a show that demands like your full attention, because they're like saying paragraphs of text at all time, and you need to understand and like comprehend all of it. And if you sort of like glaze over a line, you're gonna get really fucking confused and need to go back.
Yeah, and the main character in Fate Stay Night is sort of the wild card character, like how the serial killer was the non-magical person that got moved up to the Grail War. The main character who gets Saber, the annoying teen in that, he doesn't know anything. Like, he literally is like, what is happening? Like, I have this lady now, which...
He was the Black Ops guy's adopted son. And so, like, he knows a tiny bit of magic because the Black Ops guy only knows a tiny bit of magic. And also he was like, I don't really want to teach you that much magic, because if you got to know a real mage, you'd be like, those guys suck. So
yeah,
you don't need to worry about it.
Also, the act of learning magic makes you a possible choice to getting drafted into the Grail War.
Mm-hmm.
And the only magic he can do is like he can fix wrenches. He's got a fixing magic that is like not that cool.
Yeah, he can like pick up like a pipe, and then he'll like shoot light through it, and then it's like a stronger pipe.
Pipe plus one.
But it's not like a really good pipe. Like if he hit like a wizard with it, like they'd win still.
Yeah.
And although we're sort of ragging on this stupid kid who needs everything explained to him and isn't really good at anything, I'm sort of liking where his arc is going so far. I'm like 2/3 of the way through Unlimited Blade Works. I don't know what's going to happen. I know I have sort of... It's not hard or hidden to see this. There is a big twist coming about like the nature of who he is and also who one of the servants is that... I don't know. I'm interested in seeing what develops, because it fucking owns.
You get to experience one of my favorite cool anime tropes, which is like someone has a power that is kind of useless or not really that cool, and they figure out a badass way to use it.
Well, yes, I fucking dude, that's Luffy. That's Luffy, dude.
Yeah,
You're talking about the gum fruit.
Yeah. So it's good. I have not watched all the other 900 series, and I haven't played the mobile game because those games exist to like turn you into a living wallet.
Mm-hmm. But like, Fate Zero is 24 episodes, and it kicks ass.
Yeah, if you like stands, you're gonna like this.
It's pretty much fucking whips, dude. Like, it's so good. Like, it's really dumb. Like, don't get me wrong. It's dumb as hell. That feeling that you get when you hear the titles is right. And if you're like, are they summoning all of these weird people from history so that when the mobile game starts up, there are a lot of character models that they can give you as a reward already made? Yeah, that's why. That's
sure.
Why they have 7 new characters with fun anime character designs every time.
Yeah, the mobile game though has now like 3,000, and you can summon like Bimbo, Nikola Tesla.
There is on Wikipedia for Fate Grand Order a screenshot of gameplay where apparently you have like a party, like an RPG party of heroic spirits, and the screenshot that they're showing has like a person who has 3 spirits equipped, and one of them is Gilgamesh, and one of them is Kid Gilgamesh.
Yes.
And it's just like, huh?
Yep. This is like the Dragon Ball Z fighting game where you can literally have a team of 3 of all Gokus.
It's true. And then can't you also have a team of 3 guys who look exactly like Goku but aren't Goku?
Yes. You can get Goku and Bardock, which is the same dude, but one has a scar.
Goku Black, who isn't Goku, but is kind of Goku.
Yep. Yes. My take is that it's a very good... Fate Zero, at least, is a very good action anime with like a compelling tournament. I like it because it takes place like in a city and not just like, oh, we go to a secluded place to do the Battle Royale island. No, it's like fucking happening on top of everyone trying to live their life.
Yeah. Like one of the moves the Black Ops guy does is to like find out what building one of his opponents is in. And then blow it up. It's just gone.
Yeah, and everyone's like, oh, he has no honor. It's like, well, you're the Bug family, so shut up. Like, your idea of honor is that you kidnap a girl and make her eat bugs until she's a wizard.
Yeah. There's one point where the bug guy who's like doing shitty in the war goes to see his grandpa, and his grandpa's like, "How you doing?" He's like, "I'm doing really shitty." And he's like, "You look pretty dead." He's like, "Yeah, I feel awful." And he's like, you gotta eat like the biggest bug yet." And he's like, "Oh, I don't want to eat the biggest bug yet." And he's like, "You're gonna do it." And he feeds him a huge bug, and he looks like he's in intense pain.
Yeah. And he gets like a little bit power boost before he gets his ass kicked.
It owns my recommendation to you, listener: watch Fate Zero. And if you like it, pick another one and just like keep watching until you're like, that's enough.
Yeah, until you're being tricked into playing the mobile game.
Yeah, if you ever feel the need to play the mobile game, that is your red flag that you've gone too far. Don't do it.
Yep.
Sicko mode, sicko mode, sicko mode. 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 Oh, Joe, I got bad news. I was fucking around with pentagrams, and when I'm a master in the next Grail War, I gotta serve it now. This sucks. Oh, fuck.
Yeah, that sucks too, because I was like gaming, and then my computer lit up, and then a guy came out because of the Grail.
Oh, fuck, you're a master too. Oh, you got a servant too?
Yeah, I got Chris Kyle.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Oh, you got Archer, I see.
I got Archer, yeah, man. It sucks because he's trying to make me read his dumb book. I hate it.
What's his noble phantasm looking like?
It's just a fucking gun.
Yeah, that sounds pretty bad. You want to hear about my servant?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got the rider class. It's Charles de Gaulle.
Fuck you.
Yeah, no, it's the real guy, president of France. He doesn't really have any powers. Just kind of wants to talk to me about wine.
Yeah, his like noble phantasm is that he makes you copy edit his State of the French Union speech he has to do.
No, a lot of it is about how much he loves cheating on women and eating cheese. French people are weird. Oh no.
Yep.
We're the anime sickos, and we're here to say anime is bad in a war crime way.
So we're recording this on June 14th. Chicago is starting to open, which actually just means like we're all collectively agreeing that the virus is fake now.
Yeah.
That we
the virus will now respect all the time we put in. It realizes that it would be dishonorable to attack us now.
Yeah, at this point the virus really feels bad about what it did to the economy. I will say though, I was like walking around with my face mask on, and there was a huge line outside of Byron's Hot Dogs, and I saw that line, and I like sincerely thought, #1 city in the world, baby. Like that's all it took for me to think that, yeah, Chicago is the greatest city, and that's because we're back to normal because people are standing in line to get hot dogs.
Other cities, they open up so that you can go get brunch or go see theater or go to the beach. Chicago, I want a shitty tube of meat. I want a real sweaty tube.
Yeah, Byron's rules because if you get a hamburger, one of their toppings is gyro. Like you can just, like they ask you like, do you want gyro meat on that? The same way you would ask for tomatoes. It fucking rules.
Yeah, dude, the fucking fast food Greasy Spoon restaurant that I grew up near, that was like 5 minutes from my house. That was their specialty. One time I got a Euro burger from them, and I picked it up to take a bite, and I looked at like the corner of the cheese that was like hanging out, and there was a little rivulet of clear hot grease that was
baby.
like carving a little canyon down the cheese, and I was just like, this is gonna be a good one, and it was.
Yeah, people will say like Chicago culture is like the dumb hot dogs or improv or some other shit I don't care about.
I mean, it is.
Unfortunately. Yeah. But like the real secret sauce to Chicago is that like you are at most 800 feet away from like a rotating Euro meat spinner. Like no matter where you are in the city, there's one close to you.
God. Dude, I want Euros.
I do too.
Anyway, that's all the time we have for Anime Sickos, because we got to go get Euros, stand out in the open next to people who are coughing without masks on. I've been Tom, an anime sicko.
I am Joe, an anime sicko.
Thank you for listening. Goodbye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Anime Sickos. I've been Tom, a sicko. You can follow me on Twitter at TomHarrison19. Joe is also a sicko. You can follow him on Twitter at ShariaUncle. You can follow Anime Sickos on Twitter at Anime Sickos, or email us at animesickos@gmail.com. Please leave us a review or something. I don't know. Tell a friend. Anyway, until next time, bye.